All right, so weather like this, everybody focuses on the basics, which they should. Food, water, shelter, fire. When snow on the ground coming down, everybody's worried about getting shelter, getting that fire started before the sun goes down, and that's good. But the one thing that we often overlook is dehydration. You have to drink water. I have seen guys go down from dehydration doing cross-country skiing. You have to still gather properly and properly treat water. All right, so you always want to find the cleanest source of water that you can find. In this case, I've got a nice flowing river. It's got ice starting to form around the edges, but for the most part, it's fairly clean water. I don't want to just go filling up my canteens because I'm tired, I'm run down, the snow's coming down, I know I need to get a fire. I still have to have the presence of mind that I can't just be drinking this stuff. I can't take the chance of getting sick. All right, so I have to treat water before I go putting it into my water receptacles. All right, so we're gonna first take another container. In this case, I like using this little collapsible bucket I have. I can actually dip this stuff down in the water. All right, now that's enough water to fill both my bottles. I'm here to tell you though, that's not the cleanest stuff. Not sure I want to drink that the way it is right now. All right, so the snow has let up on us a little bit, and we've acquired our water from our water source, a nice little creek, and we're gonna go about purifying it now. Now, I swear by Nalgene bottles. They're awesome. Now, why do they have this big open cap on it? You know, I grew up in the Army where we had the canteens with the real small holes in them, and my canteens would always freeze up in the wintertime, small, narrow mouth, it would always freeze up. And I had a 10th SF group guy tell me, well, hey, we don't use canteens, we use Nalgene bottles because the larger opening, the water sloshes around more and it takes longer for it to freeze. So that's why it dribbles more when you drink it, but it's great to have the large opening. Another reason why these are awesome is the large opening. You can pack this with snow, fill it all the way up to the top, close it up, take two of them, run a piece of 550 cord around your neck, tie it off to these things, take two filled with snow and you stick them inside your jacket. And while you're out doing your snowshoeing or your cross-country skiing, eventually that snow melts, and what it'll do is it'll leave you about a quarter of a canteen or a third of a canteen worth of drinkable water. So snow is an excellent source. It's clean. I didn't have to dig it out of the river, so I can put it straight in here. I don't have to worry about treating it. So Nalgene bottles are awesome, but how about if you didn't have a Nalgene bottle or a good canteen? What else could you use? Today we're going to just use empty soda bottles or water bottles. Found a bunch of these empty water bottles, poured our creek water in there. Now, ooh, that's icky, it's a dirty bottle. Yeah, but when we purify our water, that in turn is also going to clean the inside of our container, depending on whatever purifying technique you use, but you can clean the inside of a dirty bottle and reuse it that way if you needed a container to put it in. So we're going to talk about the different types of purifying water. Right off the bat, boiling. You need to boil for at least 10 minutes, or a good rule of thumb is get it to a rolling boil for at least a minute. So a lot of outdoorsmen, they swear you never go in the woods without a good stainless steel Nalgene bottle. Yeah, they're good. If you're only gonna have one, that's fine. I personally prefer the clear ones just so I can see what's in it. They're easier to clean. They're actually easier to use, but you can just boil water right in this thing. Now, for my clear plastic ones, what I prefer to do is I have a nice little canteen cup that sits on the outside of my bottles. So if I'm carrying two of these bottles, I would have two of these cups. I can fill this with dirty water, stick it straight into the coals of my fire. Once it starts to come to a rolling boil, all I do is pick it up, empty it into my clean bottle. I can fill it right back up with creek water, stick it back into my coals. When the other one starts boiling, I can dump that one in. I can fill a lot of a lot of clean containers with my cups. It just works good for me. So anyway, boiling, that's your first technique for cleaning. Other techniques are chemicals. Now, the problem with using chemicals, whether it's iodine tablets or chlorine, is it's quick. Tablets or drops, but it doesn't get out chemicals, it doesn't get out heavy metals, and it doesn't get rid of the spores. Just like boiling, while it may kill everything, again, that doesn't get any of the chemicals or any of the heavy metals out of it. All right, your next technique you can use is what's called filtration. My favorite one is by Pure. It's a nice little backpacker or hiker's filter. This one's a pump. Dump one end in the river. The other one has the cap that fits right on top of my Nalgene bottle, and then all you do is pump. Now, this would be your pump filter. The other one is, this one's called the Lifestraw. This one you drink straight from the water source. You open the cap, take the other cap off, and you drink straight from your water source, whether it's a puddle, a tire track that's gathered rainwater, or right from the creek. You just drink through that way. Good in an emergency situation, but no matter what type of filtration you're looking at, it's all about the size. Some viruses are all the way down to 0.02 to 0.1 microns. Bacteria are generally from 0.5 to 5 microns. Parasites are usually 1 to 5 microns in size. So when you start looking at your different types of filters, it's not just about the cost, it's about how small are the holes in this filter. You know, you can get a cheap straw, 1/3 the price of this. All it's going to do is going to get out the big sediment, make your water taste better, but it's not going to get a lot of this stuff out. So again, if you want to use a filtration method, it's going to get a lot of the crud out of the water, but you got to make sure you pay the extra money, get a good filter that will get out those 0.1 micron sized viruses. All right, so the next technique I want to talk about is called UV light. Now you're looking for 154 nanometers for 90 seconds to clean clear water. All right, now I'm not talking about your black bulbs that they put up in the bars. That's not going to clear water. The technique I like to use, this was made by SteriPen. It comes in a nice little container. Runs off of either AA battery or CR123. You literally just stick this thing inside your Nalgene bottle, pull it around for about 90 seconds, and it's going to neutralize all the organisms that are in the water. Works really, really great. Again, it does not improve the taste of the water at all, and it does not get any of the heavy metals or chemicals out. So you really got to weigh the pros and cons here. Now the last technique for purifying water is distillation, which is where you're basically taking that bad water, or even seawater, salt water, you evaporate it, turn it into steam, and then through a series of either funnels or tubes, you capture that steam. Then when it cools, it will then condense down into water droplets that you then collect in a separate clean container. Awesome water, you get rid of all the bad taste, you get rid of all the chemicals, all the heavy metals, all the viruses, everything. It's a little harder to put together, but none of these other techniques will get the salt water out of it. Anyway, those are the different techniques for purifying water. Don't forget to check out my website, tacticalrifleman.com, and make comments. If you have any questions, I'll be sure to get back to you right away. Also suggestions for other videos. Right? That is how to purify water.